Gaming addiction. Is it real? I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. I'm here to tell you. Okay, let's break it down. First, let's talk about, is gaming addiction actually a classification in disorders? Then let's talk about the signs and symptoms of a possible gaming disorder. Then let's talk about what you can do about it. Okay, so number one, is gaming an actual addiction? Gaming disorder, internet gaming disorder, has been added to the International Classification of Diseases as of 2018. So this is very typically how disorders, if we care about diagnoses, and a lot of people do, I don't. I care about how brains are performing and if I can help them perform better, and we'll get there in a second. But internet gaming disorder was added in 2018, and this is how disorders typically evolve when it comes to classifications. So in the United States, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Health Issues hasn't added it specifically as an addiction yet. But there are a lot of scientific studies and research that is now coming out that is supporting internet gaming disorder as an addiction. So I'm sure we'll see that change in the next few years. That's just a hypothesis. But what is going on when it comes to internet gaming disorder? So the signs and symptoms are very much like other addictions. So for example, when a person, and we know a person tends to be men and boys, this affects men much more than it does women. And what happens is it's difficult for that man, that young man, to exist in the world because they're constantly thinking about getting back to their gaming. It becomes a compulsion. That thought is going through their mind, and then they don't engage in the things that they used to do or they used to like and enjoy because their brain is hooked on the dopamine release and the neurochemical release that it's getting from the internet and electronic screen gaming. So here's the signs and symptoms, is that they may lie about the amount of time they spend gaming, or hide it at least. They may struggle in their work or in school or in their social relationships when they're not playing gaming. They may have mood challenges or have anxiety, depression, or up and down mood. And we know from the research that what's coming out in terms of internet gaming is that it is being used for affect regulation, meaning that when they play the game, they feel great because their brain is getting those neurochemicals. Then when they go back out into the world, they don't feel great, which makes them go back to gaming. And that is how behavioral addictions start. So what happens is the signs and the symptoms include kind of a breakdown in ability to do work, ability to engage with other people in the world, and the ability to not go back to play more. Now, why does this happen? This happens because the brain is changing its levels of homeostasis. That's basically the baseline that the brain feels good at. So if you're not a gamer and you're a healthy individual who interacts in the world most of the time and may, troll a little social media, don't get me started, that's for a different video, but who might, go on electronics every once in a while, your brain is healthy. It has lower healthy levels of the need of neurochemical release. And those levels are lower so that you can engage in joy in the real world. But if your brain has been accustomed to getting these much higher levels of neurochemical release from internet gaming, then what happens is the brain switches its homeostasis and raises that baseline level that your brain needs just to feel okay. And that's what creates the behavior of having to go back for more and more gaming so that your brain can feel okay at these higher levels. So if you do a washout period for your young man who likes to play games, it may take a while for those levels to come down for them to feel okay in the world. So let's just say you have a 14-year-old son and you make him not play video games for a few days. The first 5, 6, 7 hours of that might be tough. It may even be tough longer depending upon the amount of gaming that a person is doing. And it's because their brain is basically going through withdrawals from the neurochemical release. So that is why it is so important to balance gaming with participation in the real world and with social activities and with work or with school. And this is getting away from us in today's day and age, which is why I'm starting to make videos on it, because it is going to become one of the number one disorders, and someday it will be classified as an addiction because people are experiencing very addictive behaviors to gaming. And so now is the time to recognize, especially in your young ones, that gaming needs to be balanced, even if it throws them off for a little while. If your young man is ragey because you tell him he can't play video games, that's an even bigger sign that he needs a washout period. So balance the electronics. Here's the rule of thumb. Here's your brain tip for the day. The rule of thumb is more time in the real world than on electronics. And give the brain a break at least every hour and a half, 2 hours maximum. So that's a long time. What you want to do is, play games for an hour, go out in the world for 2 hours, have some lunch, play games for another hour, go back into the world for another 2 hours. And I know I have 5 children. I have 2 teenage boys, one of whom I've already introduced you to, and by example a few minutes ago. But they, and that son in particular, they're always looking back to get back to their video games because that's where their friends are, especially in a global pandemic. But that makes it even more important for them to go outside and play basketball, which they do every single day, so that they can earn the privilege of going on and having some gaming time. But they also want to stay on for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. That is not good for the brain, because when you are on for that long, these levels are going up, and it will make it even more difficult for them to regulate themselves in the world. Okay, I hope that helps you out. And if you need any help in that journey of balancing gaming for your young one or your old one, reach out to me at drtrishleigh.com. I'm here for you. I know what to do, and I know how to help you if you're looking for support. Okay, remember, control your brain or it'll control you.